Baker, how do you get these guys to ignore the fact that Baylor is 0-3 and focus on Baylor being Baylor?
Just the fact that we haven't played good enough yet. You know, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We got to get better. That was the worst game that I've had since Ohio State last year. So we all have room for improvement. So we just got to keep getting better. And, you know, the focus will be on the fact this is the first Big 12 game. And so, yeah, we have national title aspirations, but the first goal or the first step to getting there is the Big 12. So it's the first challenge for us going into this, you know, conference run. So we got to take care of business.
Was last week's lackluster performance and lackluster practice sort of a kind of a blessing in disguise going into conference play? Y'all weren't sharp and still won, and now you have to get that turned around.
I think it's good for some of the young guys. I think the older guys know that the people that have been here before that, you know, we got to step it up, and we haven't done anything yet. But for the younger guys to feel that, you know, we haven't played a conference game yet, and, you know, yeah, we did beat Ohio State, but our season's not over. We still have the main portion and everything that's important in front of us. So it was good to have a game that it's not good to never play as well as you should, but it's good for us to have a wake-up call before, you know, people think that, well, we have it figured out. We don't. We just got to keep getting better.
Baker, that game in Waco 2 years ago, you'd had some good moments before that, team and yourself, but that game sort of seemed to ignite you guys back onto the national stage. What do you remember about that night and what it did for you guys as a team?
That was an emotional game for us, you know, thinking about the 2 years before that, how Baylor played against us. So realizing that it was I wouldn't say it was becoming a rivalry, but it was becoming quite the challenge. And so we didn't, as a program, Oklahoma didn't play well the 2 years before that. So it was an emotional one for us to, you know, get back and, you know, realize we got to play our game and, you know, do our job. But it was just like I said. It is an emotional game for us, and, you know, it was big because Baylor was ranked so high at that time, and so we had the playoff focus in mind, and so we knew we had to win out after that Texas loss that year, and had to take care of business. So it was a key game for us. You know, I think it was a confidence booster at that point in time.
Baker, when you transferred in 2014, I think at this point in the year you guys were undefeated and ranked number 3, and it all kind of fell apart over the next 2 months. What do you remember about that team other than just running a scout team?
I blame Katy Perry. No, the team, we had a great team. You know, you look at the guys and the leaders they had in that team. There's a lot of guys that are playing big-time football in the NFL now. And so you had the key points, but I think it was about the focus and realizing that although you're ranked high and everybody's patting you on the back, you still have to go do your job. And so I think that team had all the talent. There's no question about it. But it was about, you know, focusing in and having that leadership on the team that, you know, making the young guys realize you got to keep pushing, and, you know, you just got to take it 1 week at a time. You don't have it figured out, and so you can look back on it after the season. But for now, you got to take it one game at a time.
You guys were all young guys. I mean, were you kind of taking notes about, okay, when we're older, this is how it'll be different? Or
Yeah, no, I think that whole season for me was, you know, playing the waiting game was big, you know, in my mental development part of the process. But just realizing that taking little, you know, side notes here and there about just never take a day for granted. You got to show up, and anybody will want to beat you, especially at this program. You got a target on your back, especially when you're ranked this high. So you got to show up 100% because you're going to get 110% of somebody else.
Baker, your numbers rushing a couple of years ago, ran a lot. You had pretty high numbers. The last 2 years, those numbers have kind of taken a dip, especially through the beginning game of the season. What do you kind of attribute to that?
It's just being comfortable in the offense. I think as a young player, you know, I'd go through my reads, and maybe if the first or second guy, a lot of the time it was just the first guy wasn't there, then I'd, you know, take it on my legs and try and scramble around. But, you know, it's just being comfortable in the system and what Coach Riley's taught me. You know, trusting my receivers to do their jobs and going through progressions. They're going to be open. Somebody's going to be open. And, you know, if not, then, yeah, I can make a play. But just go through the process first. There's no necessity for me to run around. And my job is to get the ball in the playmakers' hands, so that's why they come here and just to do that. And so I think it's about being comfortable and just knowing my guys as well.
Baker, there's so much talk about Lamar, Sam, you, and who's the best quarterback in the country. Do you pay attention to any of that? Do you care where you stand that conversation?
We'll see who's on top after the season.
Baker, how well were you able to get to know CD when he visited up here, was going through his recruiting process? Just what do you remember about that?
The recruiting process for those guys, it's kind of hectic, so I wouldn't necessarily say that I really got to know him then. Just, casual conversations, just chit-chat, but it really started right when he got here, or right before, talking to him through text, stuff like that. I think, you build a relationship knowing that I was going to have to count on him, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. I think it's just the thing that stands out for me with him was that his tweet, he said, remember this tweet, Mayfield to Lamb for 6, and I don't know, I can't remember when it was, but it was a long time before he got here. So it kind of shows his mentality and, his want and will to come here and play right away, and I think that really kickstarted our relationship. So just being able to be comfortable with him, and he knew what he wanted to do, and he knew exactly what I expected out of him. So I think just right when he got here, it just, kicked off.
For a guy who wasn't here in the spring, when he gets here in the summer, I mean, how quickly did you know that he was a guy who could contribute the way he has?
We knew pretty quickly. We knew what kind of an athlete he was just based on recruiting tape and high school stuff, but right when he got here, he was making the plays that you don't see a freshman making, going up against the talented secondary that we have. And so him going up and having a great day in one-on-ones and 7-on-7 during the summer when it's just the players was kind of – and the coaches hear about that. You hear about the players talking about who's showing out during those summer, non-mandatory practices. So you hear about who's doing well, and he was one of those guys that was really just standing out.
Mark Andrews mentioned that CD has this ability he's not afraid to get hit on passes, and he does seem to have this extra extension on some of those throws.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you normally see it taking a young receiver to develop that?
I wouldn't say that's something you develop. I think you're either born with the ability to, mentally just catch the ball over the middle and take a hit, or go up and get a ball when you know a safety's coming to smack you. I think that's something that it's just mentally for a kid that he's always had. I don't think that's something that he developed along the way. That's just the fact. I said it last week or 2 weeks ago. He just has that dog in him, and he's not afraid of anybody, and he's going to take on the challenge. And so when that ball's in the air, he has that mindset that it's going to be his. And so for him, you see him making those incredible catches, but like you just said, the thing that stands out for me is him taking those hits and going up and making competitive catches, which is what we're looking for around here.
You guys are on this run of 2 Big 12 titles in a row, but it was kind of 2 years ago when you guys went to Waco where you really kind of put your stamp on it that rainy night. How much does going back there kind of excite you a little bit, knowing that was kind of one of the big victories you had in your first year here?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's more exciting because we, had a good game 2 years ago. I think for us it's just about, being the first Big 12 game of us making a run at this thing. So I don't think there's anything that has to do with 2015. I mean, we're a completely different team, and so are they. I'm more excited to see Charlie Brewer in person again, see how he's doing, and just to get down there and compete with my guys.
What's your biggest challenge this week for the team, for the offense, for yourself as well?
For me, it's about getting the ball in my guys' hands, and that not necessarily getting it out quicker, but just giving them a chance. Like I said, post-game, I think I had too many overthrows and not giving them chances. They're making those competitive catches that we've been asking for a while, and so it's just about consistency for me. And offensively, we got to be physical. I think a big thing for us is establishing a run game on a consistent basis. So I think we'll be hammering on the head to be physical and be competitive this week. And the fact that we haven't arrived yet.
Is there a fear because of what you saw early on in the game Saturday that there might be a tendency to let down again because Baylor's winless?
No. We'll handle that. That won't happen again.
Baker, when you see some of the other guys around the country, some of the other premier quarterbacks perform, are you driven by that at all to top them, to outdo them?
I think that comes with the fact that I'm a very competitive guy and I want to be the best, but I wouldn't necessarily say that somebody else's performance is going to, contribute to mine. I think I'm self-motivated and I want to get the job done, but at the same time, and what they're doing doesn't matter.
Did you get a chance to peek in on what Mason was doing Saturday?
Yeah, we were in the hotel, for a later game, so we got to watch some of that, and they're playing well. There's no question about that. Their offense is very talented. They got some guys that are, like here, they're making a lot of competitive catches and making plays for him, but he's doing a great job of getting the ball in their hands.
Last year when you stopped running as much, how much of that was knowing that there wasn't a ton of depth at quarterback? Were there injury concerns or anything like that?
I wouldn't say that. I think it was just about, realizing that we were better when I was getting the ball out of my hands quicker. And so it wasn't about, the prevention of injury or anything like that. It was just about being the smartest way possible of getting our offense in the best position to win. So I think that was the biggest thing to contribute.
And blaming Katy Perry, does that make you officially Team Taylor Swift, or did you just break down the crass comparison there?
I don't think there's any comparison.
Thank you, Baker.
Yeah, no problem, Eddie.